So from now till the end of October, every time you receive monies in the Gambia from UK, Europe, USA, Canada and Switzerland, you stand a chance of winning a bag of rice. Only 100 bags available, so hurry now and be part of the 100 lucky winners in this special unbeatable bonanza from now until the end of October with Supersonic's money transfer. Enjoy our safe, fast, reliable and convenient money transfer service with the largest payout network in the Gambia with charges starting from zero.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Usher, can you please help us bring in the witness? Welcome back, Mr. Witness.
Bismillah.
Just before the break, you told us about your arrests and detention at the NIA. You gave us a list of 12 individuals you were detained with. You told us that in the early hours of the morning, around 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. on the 26th of May 2006, you were taken out of the cell and brought at the conference hall before Mr. Malamin Cisse, the major crime.
Mr. Major Malamin Cisse
Boto Keta, Haidara, the deputy DG.
Deputy DG Haidara, member Marlin Ella.
Nuru Seka, the director of operations NIA.
Nuru Seka, me alongatele Marlin Dukola NIA.
Musa Jamme. And Falli Jabang. And also one Lamin Cham. Can you tell us what happened when you were brought before these individuals?
Good afternoon. Before proceeding, two more things. Among the detainees, I forgot to mention Usman Cisse. I mentioned him in my statement. Usman Jagla Cisse. He was running an internet cafe in Lamen at the time.
Internet cafe le bate bulu Lamen e kafanyime Usman Jagla Cisse. Tamutamulu konole nyina tate tola nu.
I'm on the panelist. Besides the names that I have given, there were others that I do not know. So the list I have given was not the does not exhaust the total number of panelists.
Thank you for that clarification.
So when I was asked to sit down, then they asked me again about what I knew about Freedom newspaper. Again, more or less the same routine of questioning as to if I knew Panderimbai in passing, if we did communicate in any form, and if I did give any information to him with respect with regards to the government.
Kotake ateo nyini kar kilingol long fo nimpandir mbaye nyolon ne bang fonna kadiye mole kanyomo ibang kadiamu nyoye wala fokumu kule bentema fodum teka kibaro ludi atelale akamen findindi ni Freedom newspaper kibaro la karola meya lonko wala mu bankola mansakunda la kibaro luti.
Again, my answers were the same, that no, none of that happened.
Then
they mentioned to me that they've got evidence that I've been giving information to Pandirimbai.
utumo le itel nata nyum fonyanko bari itel sede ko yosoto na ko ndeka kibaro di pandiri mbaylale
and that I should tell them the truth.
Ko woto nyanta to nya fole yenne.
Then I challenge them to provide that evidence.
Nko woto sai alio sedo bondi
Because they said they intercepted an email from me to Pandirimbai.
Kato ila kumofa mwenyezi ko ndenga email ole kipa Ndirimbaye itelinata email o mensoto.
I challenge them even further
Halim binata fwe nkatente nko
that if they had intercepted an email from me to Pandirimbai,
nata email soto le membo tantela karola ngamen kipa Ndirimbaye,
then they must have hacked into my account or into Pandirimbai's account.
woto iteludun tantela konto le kono na web page wala idunta Pandirimbaye la konto le kono
Email account, I mean.
Email konto.
And that in itself was illegal.
Andu fango damang luwa balantalale.
But I was told that I was not in a position to question them.
Bari nyina fanyanko ite tembo mento jang ite kokunding nyinin kano la kafu kabalan.
And that they were not obliged to give me answers.
Andu ite manjan na jabir dilantela.
But I insisted.
Bari hanim bim mbam lota mbalanta.
And there and then,
No tembo lemu.
I believe it was Malamin Sise who mentioned to me that, I mean, they didn't know more or less anything about competing, so they don't even know what hacking was.
Utumule Malamin Sise ala miro to wole kayanko. Itu man fellon computer karola sako ka dum wala konto kono ka fome hacking to bab counter.
Then I asked again, if you didn't know what hacking was, how could you have intercepted an email? Then bring your experts from Gamtel or anywhere to testify, they will collaborate what I'm saying.
Ko woto tonya nata atil man fellon wolem kadum wandi konto kono ikafome hacking woto allonna lu bondi nan Gamtel men ya lon ko isi kumo sedi antebe men fo kanal ya jam.
And at that juncture, Mfali Jabang stood up.
Tembole Mfali Jabang wulita.
This is O2 Jabang, the military intelligence.
Ikafai O2 Jabang member sojarul la kibar karola ila kullo kibar karola military intelligence.
He was the one who mentioned to me that, I mean, I was not in the position to question them and that they were not obliged to give me answers.
Wole moti men ko nyen ko ite manyan na intelligence kala kula adun hanniyo ke fanan itel manyan na jabir dilantela.
He walked up to where I sat down. And he slapped me. So that angered me a lot. Then impulsively I just shot up from my chair. And swore to him that if he repeated that, I was going to pay back. Then again, I think Malamin Sise asked him to stand down.
You mentioned to us that they were asking you questions. Who was leading the interrogation?
Initially, I mean, the questioning was coming from Malamin for maybe the first part, but eventually everybody, almost anybody else in the parliament, I mean, in the panel was asking.
Ko follow dulato Malamin le nyinin karo damuta ba birimo bata la ko meta tumo men do banding mo womondi mbeje ibe nyinin ibe kadulle dron ka nyinin karo ke.
Who appeared to be leading the panel at that point?
The panel seemed to be led by Hydra, the one I mentioned, the deputy director of NIA.
Amunta memu deputy director ti Hydra konto nying abeko wala be kulu nyaton kaya kan wutumo.
But he was more or less sort of passive in terms of questioning.
Bari atekata muliti me ya lonko abe tenkundi ni drong amam fenfu abe daring.
When Mpali Jabang slapped you, did any of them rebuke him for slapping you?
I wouldn't call it a rebuke. But then he was asked to stand down by Malamin Sise. And he did comply. And at that juncture, I wept because not necessarily from pain, but from anger.
Wotembo nkumbotale kato amanke ko dimingule yen kumbondi de bari kamfale duntanto wala yen kumbondi.
So it was at that moment that
wotembo le mu
had a voice from behind me. If I may just describe the way the desk was positioned. When you walk into the conference room, you just face the desk head on. So you being interrogated like a person like me would have his back to the door. And the place was not, it was sort of not as bright as usual in terms of lighting. Besides the surrounding of the desk, everywhere else was sort of semi-dark. So it was at that point that I had a voice behind me. The voice said to me that, by the way, those who know me usually call me LB. This is how I'm mostly known. That's my initial. Many people call me LB. So this voice said to me, LB, it's better you speak the truth. Because if you don't, we will kill you. I couldn't mistake the voice. This was somebody I've known since I was a kid. We are in the same club, same class, same village, interacted endlessly over years. And to confirm the voice, immediately I turned. Again, I couldn't mistake his bulky figure. Because he's always been hefty since childhood. This was Malik Jata, military officer. We commonly call Jiki. And later I came to know that he was one of the junglers.
How did you know that he was a jungler?
I came to know it later, precisely during my detention. Because when we were detained, there has always been talk that junglers were the ones responsible for torturing people. I've never witnessed him being torturing anybody. But based on corroborative sort of statements that's been made by my co-detainees and others, I came to believe with the conclusion that he was. And because I didn't have any evidence to refute that he was in the jungler, and that other people mentioned to be junglers whom I have known personally, I have seen them, like Modu Jaju Rambo, Sanamanjang, I know them personally, from Brikama. So, and Modu Jaju was one person who came for the NIA reception when we were in light detention. Pick up journalist Lamin Cham who testified here.
We'll get to that point later. You recognized Malik Jatta's voice.
Ye Malik Jatta kango nying ya sude.
You also turned around to confirm that he is indeed Malik Jatta.
Ye do inata ne ko ma fela do inata na atonya ndi ko tonyala atela Malik Jatta lem.
And you also told us that he told you that it's better for you to tell the truth or you will be killed.
And ya fo jam fana ko akoy ko tonya fo ni wonte be fala.
Can you tell us what happened afterwards?
Siram biro oboro ko laje fo za fo no nyumune nata nake.
I responded to him that he knew me from childhood.
And
he knows that I'm not a liar.
And
that notwithstanding, I would not admit to what I have not committed. Then, it was at that point that I was held by either arm, took me downstairs, behind the conference hall, the story building in the main story building at the time. It was the ozone. Of course, there was a fence, a cement, a wall between the perimeter of the NI headquarters and the beach. So behind this there were some trees and some ring brick walls. So I was asked to get into that ring, in one of the rings. Again, the place was more or less dark, because there was no proper lighting. As I stepped into the ring and before I could come into terms with my environment, out of sheer luck, I saw somebody just attempted to pounce on me. Then instinctively, again with further luck, I let myself fall on the ground in order to avoid the impact of the attempted kick. And that was the point that they started beating me up. I felt being beaten with sticks, stamped upon. This was by not less than half a dozen people. I couldn't do much, only to cover my face. As much as I could. Though I was lying down on one side of my face, because I didn't want to lie down on my nose in order not to suffocate myself. And the beating continued. To be honest, it reached a stage. I said, to be honest, it reached a stage. I couldn't feel any pain anymore. I didn't even realize whether I was shouting anymore or not. But I knew I was conscious. Then somebody ordered for them to stop. I was covered in dust and all that. Then I was dragged upstairs again.
You mentioned that sticks were used to beat you. Apart from sticks, what else? Did they use anything else to beat you?
I could feel them kicking me and stamping on me.
I
knew they were using stick because they started cutting off branches from the trees. And as they hit me, I realized that yes, this is stick because it's different from, you know, anything else that is plastic or whatever.
Katu biriye lipar borda muta be bambandi nyami ngalon ko nyimu yirit buloleti. Katu anim fole o fatatale.
I can't say for certain that they didn't use anything else or they.
Ntenyi njelo la fananko de fendo tale kalipala bari namira role nyinti.
How long did that beating last?
Butero nyimbade oli paro nyingai wati jellelta.
It's a $1 million question.
Wala mnyinin kar kola mufamutinaka.
To be honest, I can't tell.
Tonya nta fono la we wati jelleta.
But I know if it had prolonged, maybe I could have died.
Ako ngalon ko ning liparo tambita nu motola asikeno ngafa.
And I can only assume that it didn't take that long.
Nsinyi mutano ko iman tambi wala wo tembe dato.
But that long is open up to interpretation.
Dari na tambita nu wala wo bekela kukola multi.
Did you recognize anyone from among the people that were beating you?
Mol mentar ke busan ke lipanu. Fo mo soro ndajela me suriye bang.
I recognize that Malik was part of the group who dragged me down. He was part of the group.
Na korosi ko Malik jata be molu kono le meni yen kuruntu kandia ko ya jindi duma.
Later came to know that Sanamanjang and Rambo were there as well.
Nata nyilom fanan ko Sanamanjang ni Rambo be dabi jele nu wotumo.
By Rambo I mean Modu Jaju.
Rambo wole Modu Jajuti.
But exactly who hit me, no, I couldn't tell.
Bari meni dukota kalipa ntewo fono la juma.
Whether it was all of them or some of them, I couldn't tell.
Foi bele denta kalipa bang wala dole be lipa kambang ntewo fono la.
This Malik Jata you're talking about,
Nyimale jara me yalango ikatel lokumo fodeng.
did you see him recently?
Fo iya inya boita kanabes inyi watul kono bawarata sa.
If I can remember well, the last time I saw Malik in person was immediately after my detention in 2006. We met at during Corite Day at the prayer ground.
Nimanyina nlabanta Malik jela damin namuto ko kilo yemen yitandina wala nyinti ko sunkari sallu mbenta salikerato labanta jela jele.
I can't remember seeing him since then.
Kabo lunna kanabula sayin hakilo mamuta dal ko ngaje dulato.
You also mentioned that he's a jungler.
Ya fa fanan ko jongula le mati.
Yes, I did.
Ngawfole.
Malik Jata, who is also a jungler, testified before the commission on the 23rd of July 2019.
Malik Jata me alon ko jongula la fanan dia muta nyin commission nyati le mo July karoti le mo aning saba 2019 sound zero.
Is that the Malik Jata you're referring to?
Maybe o Malik Jata le ba.
Yes, it's the same Malik Jata because I listened to his testimony.
Wo Malik Jata kilum le fam kadunga la CDRO lamoyle.
During his testimony,
La CDRO nyi wiki o nyin kono.
Malik Jata testified that he did actually see you at the NIA.
Malik Jata ya fo janko atafan kunni mo yeje NIA le.
He also mentioned that he had a personal grievance with you.
Ako atafan kunni mo ni ko kusra sonno mo me alon ka ni e wol soto nyowul kubay na temale.
He told the commission that he did not touch you.
Bari ay nyi fu commission e ko arbulo mamela.
Yeah, if he says so, it could be right because, to be honest, I've mentioned in my statement that I can't say for certain that Malik hit me. I didn't see him hitting me, and as I said, I cannot tell who exactly hit me, but I knew he was part of the group that dragged me down.
Kunga fanyame nta fono la foto nyato nya afangu buloe fentale kalipa bari de ngani foko ngaje jele umuto nyaldi ngajele bari bitun kafo ay fentale kalipa nte fono la katu mini bellipa kanu wodumo malo njumalem.
Can you tell us if you sustained any injuries as a result of the beating meted on you?
Pesa fono nye libaro nye keri ngokola ikang fo e barmol soto le bang ibalo balabang.
Yes, I did.
Ngabara mo soto.
Can you tell us about your injuries?
Barmol nye kuma fanyo okoro bang.
I had lacerations all over my back.
Nko be dinkiralu soto ntadame nufarata.
My arms, especially.
Sakumbulu fangulu.
And my head.
Aninkuno.
I still have those marks on my head.
Adun hanimbi wo marke dalu ben kuno bala.
What happened after they beat you up at the beach?
I was taken upstairs back to the interrogation room, that is the conference room. And I was told that what happened to me was just the tip of the iceberg. And I should expect more. And that I should comply with them. But then I told them that there is nothing more to comply with except telling the truth, which I did, and that was it.
From that statement, from the statement they made to you, what did you think the purpose of the beating was?
They were trying to force me to accept that I was giving information to Freedom newspaper. Based on my own analysis, and I mean, from that point up to the time that I was delayed, it was like they were trying to look for a scapegoat.
Amunta kabo temboto fokata bula kul natala nyami nyatondo itelbe mole nyinin kandurong ibe mendundi la kafoko nyille molti menne nyini nyinke,
because they knew that they messed up big time.
Katu italiano nako ye fili bante ya jamale ke ila okulu kono.
And they were not the least professional in the way they handled the whole matter.
Adu italioko tamandi nyamin anil lonna lula silo meneketa do ko no lani lonna altani silo manda.
And that they were just trying to impress the president.
And it will make a nyame, unyame maunya, Willem Drum Pruka, President Nya Bundi, Telabaro, Kafoko, Samutako, Tilbe Barakendol.
How did you know that it was the president they were trying to impress?
Ite wolo nyari le ko ibe president nyini ibe bakata kana pruka o se wondi ronka kajuso la.
Because during our stay, I don't want to mention this man's name because I think he is still in service. He was part of the panel. He's in my statement too.
After
all those 3-4 months in detention,
if you're not comfortable to state his name, can you kindly write it on a piece of paper for the commission?
That's fine.
Kindly date and sign it as well. Go on, please.
And then?
One Friday, like early evening, we were brewing attire. This was long after the investigations. The man came to the NIA premises. Of course, I assume for a different reason. Then upon seeing us, he came and sat down with us. We took some attire together. And he personally told us that each time that he saw us there, he felt some kind of guilt. Because he said the panel had done their investigation And they found none of us wanting of what we were being accused of.
Alun telu be men bije yen tumi kuma kangulu menu la hani kilim man soto je.
And the report of the panel was submitted to the NIA director, who was our host at the time.
Alu kibaro me yaje yo kibaro fongo di NIA director la le me yalon ko tembo le mu njia atiti NIA je.
Who happened to be Mr. Harry Sambu.
Me yalon ko tumo wala ikafo me Harry Sambu.
And that it was for Harry to take it up with the big man.
Andu harile nyanta nyin ko sambala banko nyaton koya.
By the big man.
Ikafo me big man utumo.
It was the president.
Wala president.
That was how I knew and believed that yes, everything that was happening was under the directives of the president.
Utumo lo ngalo ngomembebe ke kanu njang. President la yamaro na la kango kanem.
And Mr. Chairman, I believe that the information he provided with respect to that man is not so serious. So it would be okay to mention the name of the man, is it, Mr. Chairman? That is with your permission.
Ansul kamem fa wala nyindi ko sedo to men tandi tangi ay men sa ka to wala tan atala jiko to sedo men sata nyi mari la ko to manke kudi me alon ku jawole mari nyi mari nyi na karola so dalilo kan man jawiya pour ka kew nyi ka mari nyi ka to lankena ma mobe ya moy kiaman dum na.
I'm seeking guidance from you, Mr. Chairman, as to whether it's okay to mention his name or not.
Silanga be dunyo nyi na kiaman bulu ninga ra sonda wala.
If you recommend that the name you mentioned, please proceed.
Kiaman fananga ninga dre fana ya sude ko to e kankula isitendengala.
I can see Deputy Chair nodding her head, so I'll just go ahead with it and not mention the name, but tender the signed paper as exhibit later on. So go ahead, please. After your torture by some members of the junglers, I believe, because you mentioned Sanamanjang being part of them.
Mudu Jaju.
And Rambo, but you're not sure if Malik Jata participated in your torture or not.
Ako tenten kaboro ya fo kabrinyi ena ye liba ye bude ena len sansan kono ndu ko menu ma berinje wala Sanamanjandi aning Mudu Jaju ka me Rambo but imalla nyinna ko fo nyi Malik Jata fata da bulo mate la fama bulo mamela ko tenten kaboro.
You were taken back and asked to speak the truth.
And
that is their own version of the truth. And you insisted that you had told them the truth. Can you tell us what happened afterwards?
Let me take you back a second. I said, Sanamanjang, Mudu Jaju Rambo, Malik, they are all part of the group of junglers who were there, who dragged me downstairs. Among the group who hit me. But I can't say for certain individually who hit me and who didn't. I can't say for certain if everybody in the group hit me. But I know at least some of them did. Just to clarify that.
Thank you for that clarification.
So when I was taken back to the interrogation table, and as you said, for me to tell their version of the truth, I stood my ground. Then after a while they asked me to excuse them and go outside of the room. They took me to the staircase and asked me to sit down. Then Mfali Jaban came to me again and told me that the statement I initially wrote at the police headquarters on my first day of arrival at Banjul was misplaced. Misplaced, I mean, they misplaced the statement. But then, They've remembered everything that I've said.
Bari ngamem be foje ko manyina lay hakilo bakan.
And they wrote it down.
Andu ya safe kule.
They would like just for me to append my signature and date it.
Iko bari ntesio sainkan safe ngalu fanan safe je.
I insisted on reading the statement
Nko hani fonga kaito nyin karangi telie men safe.
for appending my signature.
Jangim benna signature kela bala.
They complied.
Isonta.
I read it.
Nga karang.
Told them no, this is not what I've said.
Nga foy hani ngamem fo ni nyim fatatale.
I'm not going to sign this.
Nte nyin sign la.
Give me a piece of paper and a pen.
Ali kaito nin kala dinna.
Now write down my statement again.
Mbenna kumakamu safe la koteke.
And Fali told me that
Mfali nyim fo nyenko.
you tried, just to quote him, you are trying to show us that you are stubborn,
Ilafta nyile itandilanto la ko ite kamoja atale.
but we'll deal with you.
Bari mbe mali la
We'll teach you a lesson.
mbe karandi la kula.
He left.
Abotaji.
Can you tell us the content of the statement they wanted you to sign?
They've got everything that I've said more or less in my initial statement, as I mentioned.
Ngakuma kam fululu mbe safe telio be sotole.
But there is a confessionary paragraph that I confess that I have subscribed to Freedom newspaper and that I have been in communication with Pandiri and that I have been providing him information.
Bari inatadula la faje ko. Ndele ko nsontale ye memfonye ko. Ndeni mpandiri kanyo moile. Andunka kibaro diala ya kamensa fe Freedom kibar kaito bala. Andunka foko hato nyala ntele yo baroke.
And that was false.
It wasn't true.
Andu manke tonyati.
The only bit of truth in it
Tonya menda mango bakono.
was that yes, I subscribed to the paper,
Ha tonyala de kibar kaito nyi nka karan ndabe karan nalu kono.
which I have indicated in my initial statement,
Adu no safele nakuma kam follow nyi kono.
and had confirmed to them during our verbal exchange.
Adu nibe diamula tumo menna ngo fanan tonya yandi iyele.
In essence, they were trying to incriminate you.
Munta kumala suti ya kama iwa katakana no puru kedu.
There is no other better way to it.
Odrone mum siloti telbe men katakana.
When you refused to sign this confessional statement,
Duni ito balanta puru kanyi kaito nyi mialongo ya itanije ko isontale puriyo ite usiain.
what happened?
Nara nake.
This was the time Musa Jame approached me for the first time, Lieutenant Musa Jame Maliamungo.
Nyino msinya fuloti Musa Jamme, Lieutenant Musa Jamme Malia Mungu, nyino msinya fuloti afundita nkanang.
I think he was trying to soothe me down
Ngamira laftele purka dia munye kanjuso nyabu.
because he was trying to sort of dust me off.
Andu
I
ngatele
was
purka
dusty all along.
katumbalo bebe nori na utumu abeko mo men laftana la kambalo fita.
And then said to me that, are you from Tujareng?
Utumu la natanyi mfonye mfwebata tujerene.
I said yes.
Nkai ha.
He said, where from?
Kwe minto mafan
I
tujerene.
told him my family.
Ngana badi ngulufaye.
He told me, wow, we are in the same kabilo.
Ako ha mbemu kabila kilimu kono woto.
Because Musa,
Katu Musa
at some point,
wati sotonta.
was living with his uncle or stepfather, you may call it.
Abe mole bulu asika barinti wala afanding ko Musa no nyami.
Baba Siru Jame, he's late now.
Baba Siru Jamme ufango ala yake atambitale saing.
Who, when he came to Tujareng,
Me ya lon ko bilana ta tujereng.
was given land for both for farming and residential by my family.
Na dimba ya le keno di wala abe sila daming aning abe daming kala kunkoti.
When I say my family, I mean my clan, my kabilo. We are usually my clan is the the alcalde of the village.
Munta ninkonna dimba ya na badi ngulu wala na sate wala kabilo ti alkaliyabe menno bulo.
And this is usually a norm in our village, I can say, or in many parts of Congo.
Adu nyine mu kolu Kenya ati dinkira jamato kombo tundo kan.
So when he said that to me, I told him, well, I know you.
Brayo fonyi mfananka ha ngelon ne.
So I knew since we were kids, because I can remember, when we were younger, if you have a family that has a police officer or a military officer in the family, because of the kind of respect we accord to those people, service personnel, it's like everybody is sort of proud that we have a family member who is a police officer or a military officer.
Andu wotembonte laje nyinka kentoli yenga nyaleti nimmo sotonta na kabilo kono wala mbadi mulu kono me ya lonko abedo ko la service bunda la kita sojarti kita police ti ndol fanala ka kanye nyabo le tinka nya amari lale.
Under that circumstance, you found yourself with him. Did you still have that sense of pride in looking up to him as a military personnel?
Not for a million Musa James.
I
will never ever accord that kind of respect for a person like that after my ordeal at the NIA.
Mantoro mentakije wokola nendete obunya façon soto la moye membe ko ate obunya kota kende o soto na moye membe ko ate.
Because this was the time that I came, I woke up to the realities of what was really happening in our country.
Utumolem amunda nimmobe sino la dron amarina ta kunin ayaje ko nyaran nyinni be kerin tela banko kan utembola ngatena ta lo membe kerin banko kan.
So Musa then told me that
utumolem Musa yin fayen ko
and we are brothers to quote him.
Oto ntel mu badin kilinnet.
Then why not comply and tell the truth?
Mulen na ite sonna eto nyafo.
Told him that no, I've already spoken the truth. There is nothing more for me to say.
Nkai hani ntenga tonya lefo adun fentije ko makota kente be memfola.
Told me that then you do not want to get helped.
Ako nyo utumole ko to itema lafi moye dema.
And he left.
Abotaji.
So I was not taken back for questioning again.
I
was escorted to my cell.
Only
with words that they will deal with me.
Did they provide you with any medical assistance, given that you had several lacerations on your back and on your head?
Inarana de maro dila bang jaralo karola tumala men na iko kono ani bulol be faranta kabo ni mu libarola.
Not at that moment, not ever during my detention.
Watu loto je imam fem Kenya imam mako irdina adunna muto wuce umume bekono imam jaral dinna imam mako irdina.
How about your fellow detainees? Do you know if they also went through the same ordeal you went through?
Imo nyo kota ngol do ini men data maroko no nje fo yalo ne mengla ko mel late kan fo fa no tol fa no ko kil ngol late kamba.
That night, yes.
Olun suto ha wo ketale.
When I was escorted back to my cell,
bri yendan kata na selo kono
I got inside.
Ndunta kono to.
So it was like everybody was curious what happened and what was happening.
Adu menu beje akete be kumpoleti pour kalo mune keta wala mune be caring.
Then I thought the best thing was to prepare them mentally. I mean, my co-detainees to prepare them mentally.
Bituntola miro ketanyente ko pour si parendi ko membelari inyato isi sobi isa long isi pare kama.
Then I told them to brace up.
Nko enko ta li parede alali fante parendi.
And that they would likely be tortured for so.
Alu asikeno yali fanalu tajireya.
Because that's what they did to me.
Katu yole kentela.
I remember Fakeba or Yoro, Fakeba asking, but we didn't hear your shouts. So I told him you couldn't, but even if I should shout, what good would it come out of it? So there was no point. For a split second they didn't believe me. And to get that sink in, I had to remove my shirt. Then some of them burst into tears because of the condition I was in. And each one of us that was detained on that very night were tortured. I believe the only person I can remember that was in torture was this guy, Pamodu Fall. This reminds me, sorry Council, I'll take you back again. Somebody who was in the panel. For some reason I oversighted him until at this point. Late Tumbul Tamba. Because this was the guy who immediately when Pamodu was taken out of the cells, Because the both of them knew each other personally.
And
we are both ardent Arsenal Football Club supporters.
So
Tumbul ordered for him not to be taken, to be tortured. It was later that I came, or all of us came to understand that that the reason why Tumbul didn't let Pamodu get tortured was because of that relationship that they had. But besides him, I remember all of us were tortured.
How about Hadidabo? You mentioned that she was not kept with you guys. She was kept somewhere else.
Hadidabo dung ya fo janko imaning Hadidabo be ke dula kilingoto ya teninke afayenne.
Hadi, I didn't see her again that night because she was, kept at the conference room, and I don't know if he was tortured or not. The only other time that I had been seeing her was when she was eventually released on bail the following morning. Then, she would come with others to report on bail. But we've not been interacting that much when they come to report on bail.
Bari hadide wolum labanta jara wolum ne wolum suto bari ngani lonko yate sindi ila bendinkira nyini to conference hall yo bari woso mo dronne mo yate bel bitu kola anim molu kana kane danko wairi ni bel ika wato le foye kane danko wato men akatani nale kana danko je nkaje wo tumol le la bari bitu ala ko ka fo wolum menna ta kala nte fen fono rawdo.
Because the four of us who were in long-term detention, that's myself, Malik Mbub, Duta Kamaso, and one military officer, Buba Jame.
Buba Jame, Duta Kamaso, who else?
Malik Mbub.
And Malik Mbub,
we are not interacting with the others who were released on bail. Because it was like separating common criminals from death row inmates.
Amunta ya ketenne ko criminal men ya lon ko mummo jawlete kawol nimmo dolu fatandi nyobala.
So I don't know what eventually befell Hadidabo that night.
Atu woto wala ya sabu lu shuto malo mun na talabankela Hadidabo la.
And in this sense, you said separating common criminals from death row inmates. Which category did they put you in?
Ya fo jango iko ya fata si kafu fulalti wala nyindi mol me alongo kuja barala lam ani mol me alongo be Morocco no be nyanne faala wala death row ite tarda mun kafu jumala kono.
We were part of the death row.
Munta itelu mbom molati ye menu mutako wolbe fatal le kono.
So you saw yourself as a death row inmate at the time you were there at the NIA premises.
Munda zan ite fanje ko ite mora molle kono men yaran ko be nyanni faala le NIA sansan kono je.
Not in the literal sense of the phrase.
Amanka ko puru ka foko be mfala la kuma fa nyamin.
What I was trying to say is that it's like, we were all accused of the same thing, but it seemed like our crime was much more severe than the others. It's like we were found guilty already.
Amunta nafu nyile kamako mbe yembe muta kukilo la barabu amunta ko ntelela ko jawyata katambi odolula wala na yembe bo nyobala otemba amunta yentelu tumile febe menkela na pareta wala foka pare.
Because to manifest that,
burka wasahandi
some of the NIA operatives that we have personal relationships with, we knew personally, we are not even sort of allowed to interact with us.
Kato hani NIA do kulalo menu bije menu ya lonko ni dalita imam pare fang purun nyoli kata nyola wala ni futa nyoma.
Let me give an example on that.
Nsi Santiago Dino la Carola.
You may briefly.
For example, there was this operative called Yaya Bajinka. This gentleman had been a friend of mine from childhood through school. In fact, the morning after our initial night in cells detention, he took it upon himself to take me out of the cells for me to freshen up and change clothes.
ate fangole nyim makoyro dintla kam fintindi selo kono prunsin na dum fenglu faling.
During our detention there, he's been warned by his boss not to associate with us because our case was from the State House.
Andu wuce kono ala nyaton ko ya dandala ko a linte lakulu kana katanyola katu ya maro soto ne membota State House.
But he insisted that I'm his personal friend.
Bari ya lotanya ne kanko nte teri lo nyinti.
And Buba Jammeh, the military officer, is just like a big brother to him.
Adum Buba Jammeh sojaro membe mutoko no jewtumo bele ko dron ka koto male muti.
In as much as he couldn't do much for us,
bari wairi wotembo ate kukeno lantoliye.
He will do his best to help us out.
Bari asi ay menno asio ke pour kam makoy.
To quote him,
pour kala kuma kamuta ka banke.
You told me, boy, I can be where you people are tomorrow.
Ay nyim fanyen ko boy. Atelbe tembele amento bi nte fanansi tarano leje sama.
And just like as if it is a prophecy.
Andon abeko ko kumame ya lonko amari ye siningo leje membina kela.
This is exactly what happened.
Andon wele fango na atake.
I believe around the night of the 22nd of July, 2006.
Andon 2006 amunta July karo tilmu anu fulo suto.
When he got arrested with his other Bajinka brothers and brought to where we were detained.
Ya muta aning Bajinka badin kotangula ye fanalu nati ntelum toko no dami.
After the failed attempt of to arrest their elder brother Khalifa Bajinka,
birin ilafta akoto mamuta la ikafu me Khalifa Bajinka hanifu wo kanatema,
former ADC and senior military officer,
me ya lonko atelemu president la ADC ti adun sojari nyaton ko le matinu.
Just to give an example.
Thank you very much for that. Apart from the night of the 26th of May 2016,
16 or 6?
2006.
Sorry, my bad. 2006.
2006.
Were you tortured again?
Not any of us that were tortured that night.
You mentioned several people that were not part of the initial list of the people you were detained with. You mentioned Duta Kamaso. Was she also arrested in connection with the Freedom newspaper saga?
Yes.
You also mentioned Buba Jammeh. Do you know the reason for his own detention?
He was arrested and detained with respect to the Freedom newspaper saga.
In
fact, he was a personal protective officer to the president at the time.
Apart from the torture of the individuals you were detained with, did you witness any other person being tortured at the NIA?
Buba was called out from our detention center. I think it is important to mention that after after about some days, I can't remember whether it's up to a week or so, in being detained in cells, we were eventually taken out and put under what they call light detention. By this, we were based at the reception center of the NIA. And this is where we sleep, this is where we sit, this is where when people come to visit us, we interact with them.
How long did you remain at the NIA before you were allowed to receive visitors?
Well, Immediately after we were released from the cells and put on the light detention,
from
that first week we've been having visitors. But to use your own word, allowed, I don't think we were ever been allowed officially to be seen by visitors.
It
reached a stage during our detention that we built some kind of relationship with the guards, the securities at the gate there. And I would say that these people allow us visitors based on their own, like their own personal, decisions. Because the first day I was detained, my elder brother, Dudabo, my maternal elder brother for that matter, is the IT director at the University of the Gambia currently. But the news, he went to the NIA to ask for me, and he was detained by those very securities. I mean, for hours, demanding as to who told him that I was being detained at NIA. So if those securities at the gate had the power to detain somebody for hours, later in turn will allow us access to visitors, including the brother of mine, and will bring cometa will not some promoli and kumpabo adu no koto mame ya mutaje unata taramul kono isonta memfon nata kananto kumpabo without us being given any official directives from top, and wayatara iman kansoto me ya mendi la nto lakoto kabo santon ko lubulu. And I would like to conclude that it was out of the own volition of those securities to allow us visitors. Adu moto wala kendi msinyi mfono ko o security ulumendo bunda kantola.
You were also telling us about the time Buba Jammeh was taken from light detention.
Itata nunkafu mwele kutake jamfuko watola hanifo watola watu mensida nufo Buba Jammeh samba maralisone yari ngokono.
So Buba joined us when we were in light detention.
Buba ya kafuntol mabirimbe wo mutasono yari ngokono.
I think a day or two after his arrival.
Then
at night, he was called. Then he went for some time, precisely up to an hour or so. Then when he came back, he told us that he was being interrogated and that he was tortured
andu ya fanan tajire yale
by junglers,
ya fanan tajire ya,
and the evidence was on him because he removed his shirt and his body was his back was all lacerated.
Andu asede ya babalale katu ayala dondi ko bondile ntol fongole yaje afanam balo be faram dingole nyama.
Lamin Cham, the journalist,
was
also tortured.
I
remember him walking into the reception. Yeah, I mean, initially when he came, we tried to talk to him to prepare him mentally. Especially Malik, because he had that personal relationship with Malik Mbub.
Sako Malik katotumo anim Malik Mbub diabe tema.
But he was like, I think he didn't believe like what happened to me initially. He was like, okay, do you people have tea? I want to take some tea.
Munta kwa malana ko abekolo kodrong atelu kara alika timin jan odum fanan lafta timin na.
But before the realities dawned on him,
bari janning abelala kula meni alonko inata menkala.
He was called out of the detention, out of the light detention center around early hours of the morning, maybe around 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
inata kumande ka bondi o mutasono yarengo kono suto wala dutala talamfula kata talan sababu chokang.
And when he woke up, he was half asleep and he staggered out.
Otumo ba kulina tumo na kasamba abesino lanom bitunga lau sino tole talin to finti tabunko no.
And you told us that it was Rambo that came for him.
Yes, Rambo came for him. Rambo came to call him.
Rambo le nata kama wale nata ka kumandi.
And what is Rambo's full name?
Rambo to found
Momodu Jaju from Brikama.
Tumu Momodu Jaju le te andunga bota Brikama le.
So if you know the NIA premises, you realize that the inner door from the reception center had some distance.
Niye NIA long ila konoto bunda nyin keno le bije memba ni dinkira tema
between there and the main walls that separates the garage and the main official buildings of the NIA.
Me ya lonko keno be damento bumbala sansamba membe koma la garaso dalaji.
Maybe 20-25 meters.
Abitani for meter muang ni lulu wo keno bijele.
So that was exactly where Rambo and the other junglers were, just by the wall.
Dinkira lom Rambo ni jongla dulu itatao sansango balaji.
So Lamin Cham being half asleep, when he walked out,
Lamin Cham amunta yate sino tole kuninga lau sino tole findita bila findita.
And I think after when his eyes got adjusted to his surroundings,
so ngamira birina tata hanfo anya dalita dinkira nyina damen tote nganya jeroke.
Maybe out of fear or panic.
Ngamira kitai silanguleti wala kijate o.
And after seeing the junglers, because they were all dressed in, in black clothes, he just turned and ran back to the reception center. And that culminated to the fact that, underneath his feet was all peeled off. But nonetheless, he was still dragged out and tortured. We didn't witness the torture with our naked eyes. But again, when he came back, the evidence was there. The hallmark of NIA torture, that's his laceration and everything else. So Lamin was, I think we were thankful to Dura Kamaso because she really played a modeling role to all of us out there. She was the one who took Lamin Cham, all upon herself as a mother, and calm him down.
Maya lonko atele Lamin kam juso nyabundi ka makoi ko musona dingo ka alakulu topoto ka juso tenkundi.
She did the same with Mariama Denton, the current Speaker of the National Assembly.
Ayo ku kilimule ke Mariama Denton ye me ya lonko bitilo wala mu député bu la speaker ti.
Mariama was tortured as well.
Ya Mariama fanan nati jele ya tajire ya.
Although we didn't witness it physically.
Adu masede ya nyala de.
But when he was brought in, we saw her.
I
didn't know her in passing then. But the other three, Buba, Malik, and Duta, all knew her. But after some time after her arrival, she was brought back to where we were detained. And she was visibly shaken.
Andung ngajako abedamin asilanto le motumo.
Terrifically hot.
Andung utumo amunta abebaramarin nafang.
And again it was Duta.
Kota ke Duta.
Help her.
Wale ya makoi.
Calm her down.
Ka juso tenkundi.
That must have been quite an experience. Being kept at one place and seeing people consistently being tortured. Can you tell us what impact that had during your time there on your psychological well-being?
Ilang faisa fono komisonga ila wato muto nyi wato wicho nyi kono je akuo nyinga deto nyinga muna kela ila sondo mo kono miro to ila hada moya fanando akuo nyi muna kela.
It was tough.
Akoleata back.
That cannot be overemphasized.
Monsieur Fonyanding ita dango bondinola.
For whatever reason,
Akita dalila wo dalilati.
maybe they thought physical torture wasn't gonna work.
Bari nyimmira ko kamu balajato tajire ya wotekela kulu sono yandiramute.
Or maybe they didn't want to inflict any more physical pain on us.
Walla sike nyindi fanan ko imam pare ka kambarama walla ka kudimin dindo kenna.
My feeling was that they wanted to do some kind of mental drive on us.
Namira silang ilafta ko kukenna mense kenna sondo mo mantora ramati.
And by that,
Andu walam nyindi ko.
they were not giving us proper food.
Imantara kaldomuri kende dimto laje.
The kind of fries they bring for lunch,
E kamani fasongo menati ntoli puru kontong.
in order to have some kind of taste out of it,
Puru ka adomo ye fen soto ida kono membe ko amulunt memsi ko aladia wala la kuya.
we had to be adding some kind of jimbo to it.
Foye jimbo lafa akang.
We were not allocated breakfast.
Gaso mode bika dinna.
And we were only allocated, if I can't remember, $10 or $15 is for dinner.
Nimma nyina dalasitan wala dalasitan lulu kawle fanan dinna puru simang.
But thankfully for us,
Bari ala la makoro kan
we
tele.
refused to be mentally defeated.
Mbalanta dal puru yen sondomo lutinya.
We came together, the four of us, I mean,
Nkafuta nyo mantel mo nano.
maybe before the four of us, because when we were brought to light detention, we found somebody else who was detained.
Asi ntel mo nano kola ngamo fanantara je be wato me ben sambalam mutasono yari ngokono ngamo fanantara je.
In connection to a different matter,
Me yolon ko yo mutadalila dole kang.
this was journalist Lamin Fati, who was with the defunct independent newspaper.
Ni mu journalist olati ka fo me la min fati barato mo atabedo ko ke kang kibar kaitole me yalon ko be banko kan wotumo.
So all of us came together.
Mbena ta kafu nyoma.
We usually contribute on daily basis
Lolu ndin kam bulo fay kang.
and try to eat the best food we can afford.
Bitu domoro me yalon ko le betata nka kata pour ka wala soto si balu menna.
That was chicken.
Wolem si sewti.
Luckily for some of us,
Pour alala makoro kantel dolu
we had our checkbooks with us,
na checkbookolu bembulu na kolo membe bank
and we are able to cash some check and have some cash with us.
yo si safero ke pour ka kolo bondi bank kolo me yalon ko asitarantul bulu.
And in order to entice the securities to help us buy food,
Burunyin ka security lu fanalu juso landi pour isi song domoro sang.
whenever we buy anything, we buy for them as well.
Na fem sam fanguli en kaw nyongol sang itul fanali.
Because basically they were not provided any sort of dinner or so.
Kadu fanalu bakasi mandi fanalu laje.
So this is how we've been surviving.
Bitumbe balu kang wala nyama je.
And in between,
Wolu tema
there were other people who were brought in,
modol fanalu soto ndele wati kamenu nati.
the likes of Mr. Ndondenjai, who was the IEC chairman at the time.
Membe ko Mr. Dondenjai me alonko atele nene keta IEC la sira ntioti numotumo.
Mr. Suleiman Boub, the then deputy to him.
Ani Mr. Suleiman Boub men simba atekanu do ku bundala.
And one Mr. Sani, I can't remember the first name, but I think he was one of their commissioners at the IEC, Independent Electoral Commission, but he lived in either Chechestown or Tallinn.
Ani mo kili ka vome Mr. Sani nyila tate tola la fanambe do ko la IEC le numotumo barabe Tallinn wala Chechestown wotumo.
And one Madi Sise, who was connected to APRC, some sort from Canifing Estate, was also brought in.
Ani ka vome Madi Sise me alonko tumo abe APRC la Carol la nuotembo.
So these people were able to help us with the feeding because their families will bring them enough food, and we were relying on them for their feeding until at the point that they were released. Then we went back to providing for ourselves.
Bitu nyimmolu bije tumo menna ngam fansembe wala njikitela katu wala mulu ka baluwa nati ye ndungul fanal kantel fanal mako yi kan kundije ba biri na ta wul bula hanu fo itata bitum muruta kotake nkam fan samba nu nyame muruta osiloka.
The people from the IEC, sorry, my apologies. The people from the IEC that were detained.
Mol member the IEC karte fay bundala.
Do you know for how long they were detained at the NIA?
Yala ne ila maro wijo ketawadi jelle di NIA.
Maybe about a week or two, not more than 2 weeks possibly.
Sikeno lokunti bara mantambi lokun fulola.
Because I can remember at some point some Casamas rebels were arrested and brought in. There were about 20-30 of them, I think.
Kadun hakilo samuta ye Casamas rebelu dolu muta ye natije. Ibitala fumu amfumu tansabanyo nimanyina ye ulfanal natije.
Some with visible wounds.
Dolu nimbaramu le fungu nataje de jibaramu be jato lubala.
So the place was so congested. I think, if I can remember well, it was during that time that the IEC, these people from the IEC were released, if I can remember well.
Dulanata bete hanufa koleata nimmanyina wotembo le fungu ye IEC dokula lubula.
For how long did you remain in detention?
Ite tarata Morocco no fo wati jelu.
In totality, 4 months, 9 days, 129 days.
Taraka nyankarina ni tilikononto tilikeme tilimuang aninkononto.
And during that 4 months, 9 days, were you ever taken to court?
Ilo maro nyi wicho nyi mkono je. Fo inana kesa mbakiti yola laba.
I've never been cautioned, never been charged, and never been taken to court.
Inene mandamdala imayamari inene mansamba kiti bundala inene mantumi.
Except that I think the second or third day of our detention, maybe we were in cells, we were taken out for some kind of photography.
Ngamira muto tili sabanja ngokono yemfintindi ngamira yemfintindi nyina kama purka kananata aluduta
Fingerprinting.
Anin kambulukumba kambulukondin tampoluta,
which was done in the office of one Tijan Sarge.
Yoke office men kono ngamira ikafa Mario yenne Tijan Sarge.
Besides that, nothing else.
Na manke wote kudo mankije.
Can you tell us what led to your release from the NIA?
Sila mvoisa fono nye. Muna na sababu ila bulola kabo NIA.
I mentioned earlier that these panelists approached us and told us that we were not guilty of anything and that they've recommended for us to be released in their report.
Ko hakilo ya ita nyoni ngeni mfo na kumaka mkono ko nyimenu be panelo tunu inatafuta makafo nyenko. Ngala ko jibere nga kisi barinta tata ko atelu man kuke andu ngani ya marodi le purisal bula.
It was at that juncture, the four of us, myself, again, Buba, Jame, Duta Kamaso and Malik, decided that we needed to take an action.
Otumo lontel mo nano nte Duta Kamaso Malik anim Buba Jame ko nyanta kukelale.
We deliberated on it
na kuoka chanda manglu tema
and concluded that we needed to take legal action.
But
that doesn't include Buba, because Buba said he was an active military officer and according to the terms and conditions of services, he couldn't go to court with the government. And we advised each other and decided that instead of taking it jointly, legal action jointly, let's take it individually.
Tunatani yamaro dinyo la ko namana deng purka yinkota ka samba lua la karola woto mbe wuli ngaluata mfaye nkilin nalu.
That was when I contacted Boriture, lawyer Boriture.
Wotembole mndia muta lawyer Boriture.
The way I contacted him,
la ko futata nyoma nyameng.
Prior to that, about two months or so, maybe 3 months prior to that, I instructed my brother, the one I was living with in Farafenye, to buy a telephone for me. That is that Nokia 1200 telephone for me. He smuggled the phone and gave it to me. None of my coordinators knew that I had a phone. So this was how I was communicating with my family and other important people to me. Immediately after every calls, I will just dismantle the whole phone, take out the outer cover, place it there, I mean the battery out there, the SIM card somewhere else, because we were free to roam within the campus of the NIA.
Ningambandi kumandiro la drone nka telefono nyi janjanne. Ala kubero nsio landi dulato nga simu ke dulato nga battery fana landi dulato to.
This was the phone I used to call Lawyer Boritura with.
Ateo telephone kilingo nga Lawyer Boritura kumandi wolela.
And I explained my ordeal to Bori.
Nanna batada be sata Bori.
By the way, he was my geography teacher during my first year at high school.
Adum be karambu mbado tumo high school atela kan karandi geography la menkata dunia dinkiralu la nyati.
He asked me to send a family member of mine to go and see him.
Ako nsinna badin kilinjube nsimen kiakang.
And that his consultation fee was 1,500.
Amunta bitun ala dundiri jomu menti puru kan nakuluta dalas wulikilin dalas kemelulu.
Which I needed to pay.
Nyanta wale jola.
Then I sent my younger brother Dembo Bojang.
Ndoma Dembo Bojang noki.
Who took the money to Bori.
Meye kolo nyin samba Bori.
And there and then Bori took up the case with the High Court.
Watembolem Bori nyin kota na kiti bunda bala High Court.
This was, the case was mentioned at High Court on Monday to 25th of September 2006.
Tenelu September karoti lumwani lulu 2006 yenyin kito fowulune kiti bundala.
Then by Friday the 29th,
Arjumanu karoti lumwani kononto.
I can't remember the judge's name, but I think it's something like Justice Monaghan. I can't remember. It's a Nigerian lady.
Nigeria Jojo Bembijang from Monaghan Lomba Mang Hakilo Mato Mutano Wolungo.
Who ordered for my release. So I got the information prior. Because I was keen and curious. Then I used the same strategy to call my brother who was at the High Court at the time. Then my family was already on the ground if in case they wanted to release me so that they can grant me bail.
I have with me exhibit 63C. That's the Point newspaper dated October 12, 2006.
October 12, 2006. Point newspaper.
And on page 3 of the article, which is titled Malik Mbub Dutakamaso released. On the last paragraph, it stated that you were released on the basis of a habeas corpus that was filed.
Can you please tell me what that means in English?
That is an application for the state to produce you, dead or alive.
So it was that serious?
Yes, in plain English.
So I was in jail, basically.
Well, it was an application filed by your counsel for your release from the state's detention. And you were released eventually?
Yes, so I was released eventually. This was on a Friday. To Juma prayers. And asked to report at the NIA on Monday, the 2nd of October.
For how long were you reporting at the NIA after your release?
I've been shuttling between Farafenye and Banjul to report 2-3 months. But I reached a conclusion that it was useless because I'll just go and be kept there for hours and asked to go and come another week or after another 2 weeks.
Bari bringa tata anufu afuta tao temboto nata amuta kona fate nina kado nintaraje nkasile kasije hanufu ning tilo bina boyle safunyeta isina muruna ni lunkoteng yo adum biriya ketawnya na taje ko nafate nyina.
If you knew the South Bank route at the time,
wotembo natara yenyin silo lo ka ko South Bank wala silo men yalonko wala kabubara kata farafenye
Bara to Farafenye would take you not less than 5 hours.
alun kabubara wotembo kata farafenye ni ko ba aborla motola abukam manke montoro wati lulola.
I got fed up and stopped coming.
Bitun anataka kuti meyen sisifa yenju sofa nganda purkana.
I think I'm still on bail.
Andu ngamira hanimbi ndo bail kang.
That is it.
You were never released from the bail bond.
I don't think so.
The bail running sartole memfanza or bail running sartole will me bulanza.
No.
Ani.
Can you briefly tell us about the impact of your detention?
Sinang ning ko mudo ning be ko la fa isa fo no nya ko ning ko le ay mun sabuima.
It was the impact was very bad on me.
Men sababu ma akata kuja ubati ntakang.
I think it was even worse on my family.
Andu ngamira akoleata na badi ngulu nadimba le fangu kang katambi wala.
So it reached a stage I thought it was affecting them more than it was with me.
Wati soto ngamira ayetelle fangu batandi katambi ntafangu kungola.
Because I ended up building thick skin against it.
Katwa tatale hanfo labango nte labango mbambanta kuonyi kono.
Being the first son of my dad,
Bayri ndele mumfama dinke foloti.
my brothers were almost all going to school.
Ndolo tumo ulbebe takan karambungoto.
I was the only person supporting him.
Nde drone kama ko yoro dimfama la utumo.
Thankfully,
Bari alatento kan
my salary never stopped.
iman nakarijo kuntu.
Didn't lose my job at MRC.
Andu mamfon na jola MRC na do ko la MRC.
My salary still goes partly to support my family,
Na jo fankilimu bekatan na badingol la na dimbal topoto kan.
but not as much as I had wanted.
Bari abukake nyama kollafta la nyamin.
Because I got myself in a situation where
Katun tata mfara nje kuko no dame yalonko.
I had to spend more than I needed
Nkade panso menke akatambiri ko la lensula tamenna.
because of my conditions in detention. I had to eat good,
Katun be muto kono nyame funga fenkendo domo.
and the NIA weren't providing that for us.
Adun ena elu mantara o mako kan kaudinna.
Secondly,
Fulanjang
on a lighter note,
pour ka kulu sono yandi.
it impacted on my my career development because I had already started reading.
Andu anataku sababu kan nasindi nadu ko fana yiriwando la karola katu tembo nganna karango londi la fada muta.
I had an opportunity to pursue a course that I started, but eventually it couldn't go ahead because of that.
Nani silo soto pour ka karango do no masata londo la karola bari mbukan manna tente no wala.
But I made up for that when I was transferred to Fajara in 2007.
Bari nata wo no masata le briye sawundi na Fajara 2007 sankono.
This happened at a time
Ninketa watole
when my dad was in prison
birin mfaf be kasola nu.
and being more or less wholly and so reliant on me for the family upkeep.
Andu tumo ntele moti ni lonkunto duno lata ntele kampuru ka dimba alu samba.
Affected me a lot.
Waya batandi bake ate fanang.
Because I used to go and see him on monthly basis.
Tumo kariwo karlo nkatate je.
Didn't see me for about 2 months.
Manje fo karifula.
And he demanded answers.
Ay nyini nkaroke munabe caring.
We didn't want him to know.
Man lafinun ateyalo membe caring.
But eventually,
Bare kulu natata.
we had to tell him.
Yeah.
He had to be told.
Foya faye dorong.
That affected him.
Waya batandi.
In fact, by the time he came out,
Watu me abe fintila nang.
became hypertensive.
Utumo yelesia ya muta.
And I would not say that was the main cause, but it contributed to it.
Nta fono la ko wole mudalilo ti de meyo ni siama barbitum asake wo fanan mu kafundanti.
My family,
No dimbayalu.
they are scared to come and see me
Ikasila purkananteje.
because of what happened to my brother the first day, my elder brother that I mentioned, who came to see me the first day.
Katu nkoto ma menna tan nako no ma lumfolo nyina yow muto menke wala wole na dimbalu silandi purkanan jube.
So it was like they wanted to, but they couldn't.
Bitunga bele ko dron ikalafi purkanan nako jibe bari man ano manghani.
So this was the kind of impact it had on me.
Nyinum kuti ay men sababu ntemanu wotembo.
Though I didn't lose my job, it didn't impact me in terms of salary, and like my salary have been paid for 4 months, 9 days that I've been in detention without working. I'm grateful for that.
Alala manta bengoti mamful na do ko la na jobeta maka woto mbe ala tentula wo kamma karina ni tilikononto mbe muto kono.
That was it.
Walem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boja.
Mr. Boja.
Thank you for answering all of my questions.
That
will be all from me. Mr. Chairman, the witness is yours now. With respect to the PIS of the witness,
okay.
I'll give you the exhibit number later. That's the signed copy of the witness and the name that was mentioned, that he could not mention, sorry.
Thank you very much, Counsel, and thank you, Mr. Bojang, for coming to testify.
Chairman, Counsel Jai, I numbara Mr. Bojang, please on takana sede arola.
Sorry you had to endure so much in the hands of agents of the state for absolutely no reason.
Si haketo. Ye mantora bataki banko fangla do kulalu bulu anduna manna ke dalila wo dalila kante.
And the burden imposed on your family was just not justified at all.
Andu ye duno melela dimbaya lukang amandalila soto amantara lori tonya fanankang.
Commissioners, if you have any questions to ask, please indicate.
Ni commissioner le nyinkala. Commissioner kinde lafte nyinkala.
Lambo jang abaraka bake.
Thank you very much, Lamin. My thanks to you for agreeing to come and testify here. And we thank you also for your resilience during your detention. And secondly, we would like to show our displeasure and unhappiness for the trouble it brought to your family and your father.
Bao ite be light detention watu menna ikatara taman na NIA dulato.
During your time in light detention, you had the chance to be walking around in the NIA premises.
Mako ifo dulabe je mento kuyata bake kapudame bamba dinka fo isije fo nyeno ala mandara ka benyamen ala Kenya benyamen no.
There was a notorious place in the NIA called Bambadinka. If you have any knowledge of that place, please, we would like you to give us or to explain that place to us or describe.
Afonya wala mo abelori NIA dameng.
First of all, where this place was situated within the NIA premises. And if you know anything about the interior of that Bambadinka and its surrounding.
That's
what I wanted to ask you to help us if you have any idea about the place.
Do I respond in Manika or in English?
Well, that's left to
you. Okay. Mbatunga for Manika Kawana.
Yes.
Commissioner Kinta Barakabake.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kinte.
Ngadamilong Bambadinkati.
The place I knew as Bambadinka.
Nitunta NIA kono. Koya for jamming.
If you go into the NIA compound,
watu mbe light detention free talent tamanjela.
During my time under light detention, I had the chance to be walking around.
If
you enter through the main door where the vehicles come into the compound, you see a cement block fence. There is a small door somewhere where behind that small door there is a story building situated there.
But what cement marala?
But near that fence, the cement fence there on the left hand side, small story building there. In front of that small building, towards the gate of the compound, there is a toilet.
That's
where we used to visit. That toilet, if you pass the toilet, behind the fence there, there is a staircase where people used to climb to go into that story building. There are offices situated up there. So if you enter through that small door just by the fence, the one I mentioned, still the small story building is on your left hand side. If you turn on your left, you go under the veranda of that story building. If you stand and face the story building on the left hand side, there is another door there. But if you observe the door properly, you will realize that that door is a very strong door. It has small holes. If you are somebody as tall as I am, you can just stand and peep inside. But I've never been able to see the interior as I wanted to. Because that place is always dark at all times. That's the place they call Bambadinka. The place itself, it looks like where the veranda ended of that building, that's where it's situated, but it looks like an underground room, just like a hole built there. That's the place they call Bambadinka. That's what I know as Bambadinka. But as for us, also because of our curiosity,
nara kanyirin karo ke comme damal after the state to come dega la do kula do bindika kacha bakala.
We also, just because of after spending some time there, we became acquainted with some of the workers and some of the operatives living there. We used to talk and we used to ask them, so that we will know the history of the place.
So nada means no.
What we came to get out of that history, because if I am not mistaken, that place was the former premises of the GPMB. As we were told, that place was the place where they used to keep their safes. Whether it was like that during the time of the GPMB or it was later created by the NIA, that's not clear to me. And it's not wide, the place. It's a place where even you don't have to keep an animal there. That's the place I know as Bambadinka. I've never been able to enter the place. That's what I know about the place. Thank you very much, Lamin.
Thank you. There are no further questions. Mr. Bojang, if you have final remarks to make, please proceed to.
Mr. Bojang, why are you in Cardo TJ? Between Tefanambela Kacha Kumfala Kumakalu Menula, is it Ulufo?
I would like to thank the Commission in the first place
follow
for according us this opportunity. As I mentioned earlier, I am part of the people who never believed, who vehemently argued against the fact that this kind of, torture or activities were being meted on Gambians by both our security and civil personnel. Until I had to undergo this unfortunate experience. So by coming to the commission,
bitun ka silo soto kana commission to jang
for some of us who are victims,
puruntel dol men ya lon kon keta molleti man toro kemenula
to narrate our ordeal,
pur kan naw man toro sata
just for us to learn from,
pur se men karanno je
is an opportunity
bunda yele rimolo mun tol fanali
that I highly cherished.
me ya lon ka ketanye dia bati ay ketanye sewote
Because
katu
without coming and telling the truth,
nimman na jang ngato nyafo
things will just be in the room of vine.
abekela munu kumo doronneti
We'll be open to speculations.
adu abekela kumanin kumaleti mol dol silala dol telala
And people would tend to believe or not to believe based on their own personal indulgences.
amunda molu fawla jero abetarla wala kan dol si song dol ta sonna
But coming here
bari pour kana commission to jang
would give every level-headed person
abe nyi hakkilo dila momondi na men sondomo ya fatewo fa
a food for thought.
abe miraro dile la men ya lonko asidumi la bak
Because
katu
why would I come here?
munel na mbina jang
I mean, what do I need from the commission in order to come here and lie?
men sola mbe sola la munela commission bulu pour ngana jang na fani afo
What would I need from the government? I never work with the government directly.
ntembe sola la munela man sakunda bulu nena man do ko ke man sakunda
In fact, the work I'm doing for the government, I'm doing it for free.
mbedo ko men feka ke kam man sakunda mbe ke kan free bukan wala
As the head of the Government National Cancer Registry.
ka fo kon telo nyaton koti gambia la kansa jankaro safe bunda nying
This does not fall within my purview as a senior data manager at MRC.
ni mantarantela do ko kono ka fo kon telo kibar bunda buntun nati nyaton ko MRC la karola mantara do ko ko
But it's an area where I've been trained on. I've taken up the responsibility in order to help the Ministry of Health to collect cancer data and present wherever they need to.
bar dinkiralon dame yalon ko na karan na londo soto
So
ana tan dum fango kono woton ko bat na banko de man na man sakunda nsikare nyin kibaro kensun ka buntu nyokan na man sakunda
So I don't come to the commission for any personal gains.
man na commission to jam pour na fen soto je
That notwithstanding, in as much as we tell the truth in the commission,
hana man ko da man de bar fanan kana ka to nyafo commission to jang
people will still be in denial.
modol be soto la hanin bi men be soso ro kala de
And I would like to appeal to everyone
bari mbe mo be dani la ka wasi mo be
for us
pour ntelu
not to
pour nyin kamalan kana
be in denial
nkana son ka kana soso roke
based on assumptions.
ka foko imman kumen kalangolo ya moy la moy tendro ya soso
If we are to deny anything,
ni be kokundin soso la
let us deny based on facts.
ni be soso roke la ay ketto nya koyoti men dunte fango bulo kono
If we inculcate that attitude in us
nim ngawo jiko façon dundin fangolu kono
as people,
kontel mu molleti
as young people,
ko fondin kewol le mun tolti
as if
kontel lebe kala nyim banko la sinin sama alfaluti
we'll have a complete change of mindset.
woto woben sondomolu falinnale
And this also, that brings me to the next level,
adu wole yum futandi dinkira kotengo fanamma
that we the youngsters of this country
kontel mem mu fondin kewol ti nyim bankun kan
should be ready to take up responsibilities.
nsi pare pour kanna lodu lalu mutasinin samo
But not only taking responsibility,
bari hana man ken na lodu lalu mutoti
but taking up ownership
bari nsa ta na ken fangulu tati
to make things better.
pour ka kolu nyinyandi ka betandi banko
I know that if I have my car
ngalon ko ninna moto bembulu
and do not get have due diligence in the way I drive it,
alum na moto borindinya anin hakilto manta
every breakdown that happens to it
tinyar wo tinyar keta motola
would be made out of my pocket.
amunta mbe dépense kala moto nyin kunto abe bolan na jifole kono
So if I'm given a government vehicle,
moto niman sakunda moto dinna
why can't I hold it in that manner as my own?
munan nanta mutala kom fango talo nyinti nga topoto
That is just an example
wo musanti ngo doron neti
of taking ownership.
pour ka fengota ka foko e fango talo nyinti ka muta ko italom
The next thing
ku ko tan
is our security sector.
wala mun na kanto nin tankada bundati
I believe
la tala ko
our security forces
na kanta bunda do ku lalu
should be made a force
nyanta kala do ku bundaleti
of choice to join,
me yalon ko asidie mari yedunje
but not a force of last resort to join.
bara kala ke dinkirate ka foko mun koritale wala bendundi laje
Because
katu
that is, I believe,
wala mkuti ko lata la nyamen
part of the reasons
wala be dalilo lu kono men ya
why
sabu
we have some bad personnel within our security forces.
simo kurungulu soto men yalon ko ibe nawo tank wo kanto bundala
Because security personnel
katu kanta bunda do kulalu
have access to guns,
wulu kido be telle bulu
have access to power.
sembo be telle la karola
If those people in there are not level-headed,
molu no mennu be o karola jorangulu be bulu manke moluti mennu hakilo warata
the few who are bad elements
dantangulu mennu be ko mennu mo kurunguluti
will eventually tend the rest.
ha bitu wotumo wala fanalu bina wo lodula jawtala.
And this is what is happening.
adu wala be kekan
I bear witness that
ninketanye sede kutiko
I've seen people.
ngamolu jele
I'm not here to judge anybody.
mantara jang pour ka mo kitindi
I may be wrong again,
asikeno mfilita la koteke
but I would like to believe that
bari mbella fala kalanyi nako
if somebody is to serve in the NIA,
mo mondi nanyanta do ko kala NIA
we are talking about National Intelligence Agency.
mbedia mukambunda men nakuala wala bankola kibar kullo kibar tamandi bunda.
These are people who are supposed to be seasoned intelligence officers.
Nilu mumo leti meni ya lonko iketamo lona leti meni ya lonko hakilo ye fateo fa ila londo fanan kono fanu tawanya
In terms of technical and intellectual knowledge.
kamimbe kala londo do ko sambanyati anitel fanu la kono to londo men kono fanuta.
I've seen people
Ngamoluje
in the NIA as operatives
menu be do ko laje
who failed the common entrance exams on 4 occasions.
meni ya lonko ye londi kontibo ta ikafome common entrance sinyana ni ikaboyi bukaganyeno
Who couldn't speak proper English.
menu fonu ya lonko buka angale kan fonu senayar fono.
I've asked counsel here
Nga kansul nyinin kajang
to speak to me in English about something she mentioned in the language of law.
pura ay fem fonye jang ay mem fo lua la karola pura yo senayandi nye.
How would we expect somebody who can speak good English,
Say momem fong buka angale kan kendo fong fono si jiki wala nyadi le
doesn't understand good English,
amang angale kan sahari yo
to
faham
interpret the language of law
puro sina lua la kan kan na sori
in executing his or her duties as an official of the nation.
pur kala du ko tamande kata be du ko la bankole
People who can't write statements.
men ya lon ko buka kuma kan safeno
It is sad.
akata balafati
I think
namira
we need to take a proper look at ourselves
nyantam fanglu jube la kendeke
and make the security sector
nganna kanta bunda ke bundati
a sector of choice
na ke dinkirati dame ya lon ko asidia meye wala sidunje
and not a sector of last resort.
rakana ke dinkirati dame ya lon ko mo kori lingulu men korta wala be kadu wala kadunje.
I thank you all in order not to prolong the session. I have a lot to say, but I'll stop here.
ngali lumbara ngali jayi ni lodu la kam malla fika kumo jam fandi katambi janna ala baraka al nimbara.
Thank you all.
ala baraka.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Bojang, for those excellent concluding remarks.
Nimbara bake Mr. Bojang yela kumo kumfa kumakan lumen la kumakan kende ballemu.
And thank you again for coming to testify before the Commission.
Nimbara kota ke puru sonta kana sede yaro la commission to jang.
We'll now take a lunch break and come back at 2:45.
Mbita konton dahala nse murunang nintalan sabada sata miniti tang anil lulula.
Meetings adjourned.
Dangubanda.
Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple Store today to download the Supersonics Money Transfer app and enjoy excellent money transfer services only with Supersonics. The unbeatable bonanza with Supersonics.
waaye nag amuñ ci loolu rek yéen ñi nga xam ne yéenay dem ak seen famille ak seen njaboot benn nit wala ñaari nit ñu ngi leen fa amal waañ yu baax waañ yu yaaña bagage yi waañ yëpp ñu ngi fa yow yaay xool loo bëgg a togga rek nga teg si gaz bi daal di taal togga lekka sa xol sedda
léegi tamit nag aman lañ leen lii di AC ak ñu nga xam ne fan rek lañ am waaye amuñ si loolu rek ñu ngi leen amal fu nga xam ne foofu ngeen di toog ngeen fiixlu seen xel dal ñu ngi leen amal ndox ak courant 24 hours amuñ si loolu rek njëg bi yomb ba bëgg a dee
fu ñu nekk nag neex a xam ba bëgg a dee si gannaaw gaaraas si base bi foofu sa farafañe lu néew rek ngay dox am si marché bi jënd loo bëgg delluwaat sa kër ak Yaa Faatu's Guest House mun nga noo jokkoo ñun si 790 1355
35 30 489
email si ombay7843@gmail.com si Yaa Faatu's Guest House so leen fa demee dinañ leen jox customer care service bu baax seen xolay sedda ba ni ngeen fay jógee Yaa Faatu's Guest House Yaa Faatu's Guest House lii leen amal yéen ñuy dem Farafenni saay boo leen tëddee nelaw leen ndaxte Yaa Faatu's Guest House génne na seen coono bi yëpp fii si biir dëkk bi